Blessings again. Just left the store, you know. Yes, it is dark outside. Yes, I do have on my shades. But see, we used to do this down in OD town, you know, be out at night with the old shades on, the old localiciousness. But let me tell you something about the sunglasses. When you wear sunglasses in the daytime, right? Let me tell you something about that. It tricks your body into thinking it's nighttime. This is a true story. This is something you can fact check me on. You know, check it. But yeah, when you wear sunglasses in the daytime, it tricks your body into thinking it's nighttime. You know, the eyes are the windows to the soul, right? So yeah. So therefore, you don't get the required minerals and vitamins and things of that nature from the sun that you would be getting had you not been wearing your glasses during the daytime. So in all actuality, it's not strange wearing glasses at night. In fact, it's pretty spot on. But you know, like I said, they've taken everything and reverse engineered everything, you know. Applied knowledge is power, okay? You gotta remember that. We have to wake up out of our stupor. We gotta learn the real, you know. And I get it. Who cares about something like that? Well, I do. And probably a whole lot of other people who take their health and fitness extremely seriously. You know. Health is wealth like no other. People who sit up here and say they don't have time to exercise because, you know, they got to go punch that clock. Well, working out gives you the extended time that's required so that you can go punch that clock. You know, failure to do so, you just shortening your lifespan emphatically. And then when you do that, you can't go punch that clock anyway. You know, punch that clock to go aid somebody else with their dreams and goals. Because that's what that is. You know, we got to get back to being crafty. We got to get back to using our imagination vividly. You know, coming up with our own things, for lack of a better term. You know, thinking more in-depthly. You know, being more creative. You know, we got to get that back. We got to get back to that. You know, so many people talk about, oh, Black Wall Street, Black Wall Street. And it was eventually obliterated, neutralized. But what they don't tell you about Black Wall Street, they were Israelites, people, from the tribe of Judah. Oh yeah. See, that's the real stuff they don't want you to know. You know, they'll give you your Malcolm X days, your Dr. Martin Luthers, and you know. But at the end of the day, they conceal so much of the truth, you know. And we'll get into all that at a later date and time. But You got to understand these things for what it truly is. You know, anytime anybody's feathers become ruffled because you're extenuating that Israelite knowledge while breaking down the 12 tribes, while breaking down the dietary laws, these are the reasons why we used to live so much longer outside of, you know, the chemicals and the things that they do to the food or whatnot. But at the end of the day, the Most High is in you. So therefore, you're going to be protected in that realm anyway. But it's up to you. You got to follow the rest. You got to do your part. You have to, you know. We got to stop not caring about our health. Health should be, you know, next to our main focal point being the Most High God, Christ. We need to be taking our health extremely serious. Serious. That's the real wealth. That's the real money. You know? And we gotta stop engaging in sexual sin. You know? There's so many people out here. They 24/7 walking horn dogs, ready to stick something, or ready to get something inserted in them. And then what? After you bust your shot off, Nick Nolte 48-hour style, then what? Now you physically weaker. You know, mind depleted a little bit, you know. Y'all have no idea how harmful that is on the body. Just walking around trying to get your shot off. Man, I'll skeet all off up in that, man. Like, man, insane in the brain. You know, and we've all been there. We've all been younger. But, you know, these are the things that were shoved down our throats. You know, shoved down our throats Pornhub style. And, you know, got society out here walking around trying to wang something. Trying to get thrashed in the old Sakurama late in the midnight hour. Wang 'em high US of A. Like, nah, man, we gotta stop that madness. That's madness. Take your life back. Head yourself under the protection of the Most High. Turn away from sin. And it goes for me too, you know. We've all been there. But some of us, we've been going down the checklist, getting rid of sin, you know. Taking back what's rightfully ours in the name of the Most High. You know, we gotta do that. And we gotta stop. Every time somebody says something that's uncomfortable because we feel convicted, we gotta stop having an attitude about it. Or stop treating it as if it's not a big deal. You know, it's a very big deal. You know, a whole life is formed from semen. A whole life. Do you understand what kind of mind state the Most High has and contains? Not only did He create us, but He created us in a way that we can continue the creation with a fluid that flows from our body through ejaculation. Like, that's a different type of mind state, you know? And people are really not giving Him His just due props. You know? That's a magnificent mind that's unfathomable. And it doesn't just stop there. You know? It says in the Word of God, the world sits on pillars and it's immovable. And you can't leave the planet. This planet is massive. We're not running out of space on this planet. You know, they got people believing this nonsense. Oh, the world is overpopulated. No, they are just trying to extinguish the children of the Most High. That's all that's about. You know, we gotta get it together. Like for real. You know, they talking about some, oh, they just went on the space Voyager, yada da. Or, you know, John Glenn, yada da. You know, you guys gotta understand what we are truly up against here. You know, ain't there none of these people been to no space. Space, the so-called space, is water. Why do you think NASA trains in water? Man, come on now. Look at those suits. You know? That's water up there. Even on an old, I'm gonna have to find it, this NASA guy was being interviewed, and he was discussing and talking about how his suit was filling up with water being up there. Now, why is that so, people? Because the firmament, water's above, water's below. And there's even water in the, like, under the ocean floor, even. Like, there's a firmament, you know. There was this guy who discovered it. After he got interviewed about it, was on the news, helicopter blew up out of nowhere. Commando style, Arnold Schwarzenegger. You feel me? Know what you're up against. You know, this is the real stuff going on. Because if these things aren't truly for real, then you mean to tell me it's this much coincidence going on? Is this many coincidental scenarios occurring? And we're just gonna continue to allow our mind state to be reduced to that of a mere mouse, right? Come on now. We gotta stop it. Stop celebrating these holidays. Trust you me. Once you begin to turn away and correct the malfunctions that they have shoved down our gullets throughout the annals of time, things change. Perspective changes, and it all changes in the most positive ways known to man. I assure you, ask for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You will get it. Trust you to the me. With that stated, y'all have a beautiful day, night. Shalom.